So guys, let's install our Visual Studio 2017. So this is just the installer. This is not the setup. This is installer. So we are using this to install the Visual Studio 2017 version. So let's double click the installer. Mind you, you can get the installer from the Telegram page. So you connect to the internet, you double click, you go next. So it will download the installer, then the installer will be open for us to select the languages we want to install. So we are much focused on installing VB, Visual Basics. So that is the language we are much focused in installing. We can install C Sharp, VB, and some other languages, but for the purpose of this tutorial, we only want to install the Visual Basics. We can install C++ as well, but that's not what we're looking for. So sit back and the installation, it will finish downloading and then start to open. So I'll get back to you after downloading. So just have to connect to the internet and then do the process. You wait till it finish downloading over here. So I'll get back to you after the download is complete. So after waiting for some moment, it will finish the download and then install. This is not the Visual Studio itself. This is to allow us download the necessary uh, requirement or the necessary languages we want to get inside into our Visual Studio. So let's just wait till this thing open. So now this thing has opened. Now we have Visual Studio installer. So this Visual Studio installer will help us to install the Visual Studio we are looking for. But mind you, we need Visual Studio 2017 and above, the latest version from 2017 till 2022. Yeah, that is what we have as the latest. So 2017 to 2022, anyone we get, we install. So this installer will provide us with all the versions available. So it is getting ready, downloading. So let's wait till it load the versions available for us, then I'll get back to you. So waiting in a few minutes, you could see that this is what has come, and looking at it, installing Visual Studio Community 2017. So we need a 2017, so we are working with a 2017. This is desktop development with C++. No, we are not going to use C++. We have .NET development. So with the .NET, we have C Sharp, and then Visual Basic, and then F Sharp. So these are the languages we want. We need the VB, the Visual Basic, and for that matter, we check here. So after checking, you can check other languages as well. So looking at here, the space required for the download is 3.21 gigs. So you can't install this. You can use this Visual Studio extension development. Like what we need is this, the .NET desktop development. That is where VB can be found. We can also choose to install ASP.NET and web development. This one is for web development. So with this, we'll be using HTML, JavaScript, and maybe some C++, CSSB. So we can choose to check this so that it will increase to from 2 to 5.9. So 3.21 to 5.9. But do we need this? For now, do we need this? We can come back at any time to download any of this. So for the sake of space, let's just stick to one of this, and that is the .NET desktop development. This is what you should search for, .NET desktop development. So you'll find using C Sharp, basics, Visual Basic and F sharp. So we only want the Visual Basic for, so let's select this. So we have checked this. Now after checking, there's nothing again to do. You come here, you click on the install. So this is what is going to install. So we have Visual Studio Community 2017. So it will download. Once it's downloading, installation will also be going on. So after that, I think we can go ahead to use our Visual Studio. So whilst it is downloading, I will pause the video and wait for it to finish downloading. Okay, so after leaving it for some time, it will be downloaded and you'll see this. Now, this means that we are done with the Visual Studio. We now have the Visual Studio with the Visual Basic language, C# language, F# language installed. So you can launch your application by saying maybe not now, maybe later. It is simply asking you to create an account. So you can do that later. Also, this is up to you to choose the color that you prefer, or the color that will be okay for you. So I go for dark. So start Visual Studio, I click. So this will also start the Visual Studio. So now this is our Visual Studio, and it means we are ready to go. So let me close this window. Now this is our Visual Studio. So before that, let me show you something. The Visual Studio is installed, right? But this is our installer. It's still in progress, so you can get the available versions here. So we have Visual Studio Community 2022, Visual Studio Community 2022 preview. So this is the available version, and then this is the actual installer we did. So now you can modify whatever installation you did. Now you see, this is what we selected. We did this. Now so to add maybe desktop development with C++, you can just check here, then you click modify. In case you don't want that, maybe you want to add, let's say, this ASP.NET, you can just click modify. And now look at this. The time or the total space required is no more as like it used to be. This means this is because we have installed one of them before already. So this is not needed whether you check it or not, because we already have it installed. So let me just modify, and then it will take time to modify this as well. So whilst it is being modified, we can still have access to our Visual Studio. So I search for it, Visual Studio. So we have it here, Visual Studio 2017. Visual Studio 2017. We can launch, and this is it. Now we can create a new, let's do this, let's create a new project. So in creating a new project, you actually see that there are we have C#, the C# language here. You see, you can select the language from here. So the language, you have C#, Visual Basic. So you can just select this. You see the install. So this means these are the languages installed on the previous modification or the previous installation. So we have this and that, and then SQL Server. So before that, you can just check here, and then you have a list of items to select from. With this tutorial or this project, we are going to create something called Windows Form Applications .NET Framework. So Windows Form Application .NET Framework. This is what we are going to work on. So if I select Windows Form Application .NET Framework, then you see VB. It means we selected the Visual Basic. If you select C Sharp, it will change here, but we need the VB, and then we select Windows Form Application. Now you can give your application a name. So maybe let's go by the name, any name you want to name your application. You give it a name, you give the application a name you want. So I will use something like GAF. Now make sure you create directory in the same for the this, and so you can just check here. Then this is selected, this is the highest, yeah, among it. So let's just select the framework, .NET Framework. Now okay, so this create application or the project. This is the project, and then we are good to go. We can now develop our application over here. So after that, this is what we want to do. So before you get started, this is telling us that we were running the application, so that is why it couldn't. This is the modification we're doing. So because we're running the application, so it is asking us to close before we can continue. So guys, this is the end of the tutorial. Follow it and you'll be able to create, or you'll be able to install Visual Studio 2017 version or any other latest version of your choice. Thank you.